Hello, everyone. I hope everybody had a great holiday. Today is Thursday, the 3rd, which means some of you should have already been reached out to and already have your Yule partner for the Yule gift exchange over on the Ravens banner. If you don't have the Ravens banner in your Discord and you're seeing this way after that time frame, I do encourage you to join. Come join us at the Ravens banner, participate in things. We do great events like this. Something I think everybody would enjoy. Aside from that, today's class is going to be on the Wanderer. Well, today's class is going to be on the Havamal. I will be using the Wanderer's Havamal, translated from Jackson Crawford. There are other versions, other translations, so always take everything you read with them with a grain of salt, because you're going to get something different from each translation. Different time frames are differently culturally biased, you know? The Throat translation, that one's going to have a lot of Shakespearean sounding words. But just look at the core message. Look at what it says, read it, focus, and think about it yourself, and you'll see how that relates to you. So I plan on doing 10 to 15 stanzas each class. So this one I'm actually going to start with 15. So I'm going to go ahead and start with stanza 1, and I'm going to work my way through those 15 stanzas. So I'm going to be looking off screen a lot so I can read it, but other than that, I will be giving you all the direct translation. So let's begin with stanza 1. At every doorway, before you enter, you should look around. You should take a good look around, for you never know where your enemies might be seated within. Hail to a good host, and a guest has come inside. Where should he sit? He is impatient, standing on the threshold, ready to try his luck. He needs a fire, the one who has just come in. His knees are shivering. Food and dry clothes will do him well after his journey over the mountains. He needs water, the one who has just arrived, dry clothes and warm welcome from a friendly host, and if he can get it, a chance to listen and to be listened to. A man needs wisdom if he plans to wander widely. Life is easier at home. He'll be laughed at if he sits among the wise and he has nothing to say. A wise man is not showy about his wisdom. He guards it carefully. He is silent when he comes to a stranger's home. Harm seldom befalls the watchful man, for you can never have a more faithful friend than a good supply of wisdom. The watchful guest, when he arrives for a meal, should keep his mouth shut, listening with his ears and watching with his eyes. That is how the wise man finds his way. A man is happy if he finds praise and friendship within himself. You can never be sure of where you stand in someone else's heart. A man is happy if he finds praise and wisdom within himself. Many men have received bad advice by trusting someone else. A traveler cannot bring a better burden on the road than plenty of wisdom. It will prove better than money in an unfamiliar place. Wisdom is the comfort of the poor. A traveler cannot bring a better burden on the road than plenty of wisdom. And he can bring no worse a burden than too much alcohol. There is not as much good as man claim there is in alcohol for one's well-being. A man knows less as he drinks more, and loses more and more of his wisdom. It's as if a memory-stealing heron broods overhead while you drink, and steals your mind away. I myself have been trapped in the bird's feathers when I drank at Godlin's home. At Gunlad's home. I was drunk. I was too drunk. At wise feller's house, the best kind of feast is the one you go home from with all your wits about you. A noble man should be silent, thoughtful, and bold in battle. But every man should also be cheerful and happy till the inevitable day of death. That completes stanzas 1 through 15. Next week I will pick up at stanza 16 and carry on to 30. But for now, we are going to focus on the stanzas we just read. So let's start with stanza 1 through stanza 5. We'll do it in sections like that. All right. So in stanza 1 through 5, we hear of entering a home and making sure we look around. When one enters any room, one should always be aware of where the exits are. They should also know who's in the room. You never know when someone that wishes you harm or ill will is there. And it's better to be aware of your surroundings. It's just like the military says, stay alert, stay alive. And that's the basic premise here. The better off you pay attention to what's going on around you, the more prepared you are to deal with it. Now, in the second stanza, it says, "Hail to a good host. There is a man who has come. There is a guest." This speaks of hospitality. We should always be hospitable. You should always be willing to share a meal, water, and clothes if we have to. People travel, people wander. There are people who are down on their luck. The best thing that they might need is just someone to listen to, someone to offer them a kindness. And we should always be looking to do that. We should always be looking to offer that kindness to anyone. And stanza 3 continues on with this same premise, for the idea that this person who has come, as well as in stanza 4, just wants to be heard, wants to listen, sharing knowledge, fellowship, communicating to each other, understanding that your fellow man has just as much to share and experiences that you've never seen, stories to tell. You should always be willing to listen to a story and share one of your own. In stanza 5, we see more of an actual statement of what one should do, what one should be like. And it says that, when we travel from home, we should be knowledgeable. We should have wisdom about us. We should not seem like fools when we go to someone's house, sit down in their house, and have absolutely nothing but gibberish to say. This happens a lot because nowadays our culture, our modern society's culture, more specifically, has gotten to the point where everybody just wants to share everything they know. And then moving from there, it's less of a inconvenience for us, but it does show people that we don't really know as much as we say we do. And you don't want to look like a fool when you're talking to someone, because you may come up to someone who actually is more knowledgeable than you on something, and you might think you are all the way up there. Come to find out that you have barely scratched the foothill of the mountain of knowledge, It's also why in stanza 6 it says, "Don't be showy about your knowledge." No one likes a know-it-all. No one likes to hear that one person go, "No, you're wrong. I know what that is. That right there, that's something else. That's this. I know because I've dealt with that before. It's something I've seen before. I know that. I read about it in a book." Don't be showy with your knowledge. Share your knowledge, but don't be showy with it. Because the knowledge you found in a book could be inaccurate. Just because it's in a book doesn't make it true. In stanza 7, it says to shut your mouth, listen with your ears, and to watch with your eyes. When one who does not, when one who is yet to figure out exactly how to communicate with other people or to bring about a situation, don't blurt it out. Don't say, "Oh, well, you guys heard about that thing that happened last week over there in that other city that y'all aren't talking about right now." No, don't blurt out what you know. Watch, listen, wait. The conversation will open up to a chance for you to speak. And a wise man will find that spot. In stanza 8, it speaks of a man is happy if he finds praise and friendship within himself. It is unwise to go around judging yourself on the opinions of others. It really is. For those who have no real opinion of themselves often judge those around them. You cannot let yourself be judged by those people and take that to heart. The judgment of others isn't where happiness is found. Being content with who you are, with what you know, that's where you find it. Being happy with yourself, knowing that you know what you know. That's where it comes from. You don't need to seek encouragement and acknowledgement from others, as long as you yourself can give yourself that acknowledgement. It also covers that in stanza 9 as well. But it also goes on to say that for those who usually do look for the acceptance and the advice of others, are often misled. Remember, no matter how trusting a person seems, how they handle a situation is not going to be the same as how you would handle a situation. You need to learn that there are varying differences on how things are done for yourself and how things are done for others. Moving from 9, we go into 10, where it talks about the burden of wisdom. When you travel carrying wisdom, this is true. When you travel, it is wise it is the best tool to have is wisdom. Look at any survival guide. They will tell you that if you are prepared and have the knowledge to do so, you will never, ever, ever be in a situation where you can't survive, where you can't thrive, where you can't turn that terrible situation into a better predicament, because you're wise enough to see what you can do. Wisdom is very important when we travel, even if we're just going down the road to a friend's house. You see a rough-looking dog on the side of the road. Probably best not to pet him. You see a heroin needle on the ground. Probably best not to pick that up and think I'll reuse that later. In stanzas 11 and 12, it talks about drinking. And this is true. We all drink for different reasons. Some of us drink for, common fellowship with friends. We like to be happy and make merriment, and that is great. Lift your horn and drink. Enjoy your company. Enjoy your celebration of life. But don't drink to excess where you're making a fool of yourself if you're out in public with people you don't know. The more we drink, the less we think, right? And it says the more we drink, the less we know, and more wisdom is lost. The best way to put this is a sober man thinks what a drunk man will say. So if there are things that you don't want to speak of, to say, it would be best not to drink to the point where that's something that could happen. In stanza 13, he talks about how it's a memory-stealing heron, and that is true. Think back how often you've drank to the point where you've gotten blackout drunk and you can't remember what happened, and you can only hear stories from your friends, and it's like you were never even there. You're just listening, and they're explaining it as if it was somebody that wasn't even you, because you would never do something to that extent, to that normalcy that you would normally see yourself as is gone, because that heron has taken that from you. You get what I'm saying? So drink in moderation. In stanza 14, the best kind of feast is the kind that you go home with all your wits about you. Why? Because if you had a good time, you had plenty of friends, made plenty of merriment, enjoyed in many indulgences of life, you're happier when you can remember them. Life is better when you can remember the stories that you tell. The final stanza we talked about today was stanza 15. A noble man should be silent, thoughtful, and bold in battle. This is true. One should always be willing to risk everything in battle. A fight is not the time to skirt in fear and shrink back. No, you must be bold. You must step forward. Because oftentimes, when you step forward against evil, evil steps back in fear. Being silent and thoughtful. Think things through. Don't speak rashly. Which is difficult to do, I know. But the stanza also says, but every man should also be cheerful and happy till the inevitable day of death. And you should. Every day is a gift. We're here with loved ones and friends and family, and every breath is a chance for us to improve upon what we already are. These are the things I want everyone to take with them. I want you all to think about these 15 stanzas. If you have to watch this video 5, 6, 7 times just to think about them and remember them, then by all means do so. But think about these. Think about this, the Havamal, and what it teaches us. If you have any questions about the Havamal, feel free to reach out to me on Discord, as well as TikTok, or Facebook if you have me on Facebook. But I am always here to answer questions. Thank you all for attending the class, and I'll see you all next week.